We're back on Get Up with a huge matchup to watch in the NBA Finals. Steph Curry against the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. Now, for his career, Curry is shooting 29% from the floor, with Smart as his closest defender. And since Steve Kerr took over in 2014, the Warriors have an offensive rating of 85 when Smart is the defender on Curry. That's the second lowest against any qualified defender during that span. And you'll remember this, the last time these two teams faced off in March, Smart dove for a loose ball, rolled up on Curry's left foot. Curry missed the rest of the regular season, and Steve Kerr called it afterwards, and I quote, a dangerous play. All right, so we are back with Alan Hahn. Monica McNutt is with us from Miami. So first of all, do you anticipate any bad blood between the two after that?
No, and Steph Curry kind of put it to rest right after that incident, too, where he said, I don't think he was trying to injure me. I don't think he was trying to hurt me. He was just making a basketball play. Some people think, oh, he dove into his leg. I don't know, Monica, we got to stop saying that players are trying to hurt each other, like the Ja Morant thing where he grabbed his knee and tried to rip his ligaments. Come on, nobody's doing that in a game. I think for Marcus Smart, he plays hard. He dove for the ball. It happened to land on Steph Curry's ankle. Steph Curry was going for the ball at the same time. I just think it was a hard play, and I expect to see that in the NBA Finals, hard plays like that.
Retweet. I thought it was nothing there when it happened initially. Yeah, and I do think in this series, though, one thing that I will be curious is to see how it gets officiated. To me, the Celtics are the more willingly physical in terms of initiate the physicality team, and we've certainly seen that through this series. In Game 6, the Celtics and the Heat became the third most free throws shot in a postseason game this season, right? So I'm curious to see how the physicality plays out and what the refs will and will not allow.
And it's a really easy narrative, right, when you say, oh, Smart versus Steph. But when you really look at the way the Celtics play defense, it's not going to end up being that way.
Hey, we might not get that because they switch so much. And that is also something to keep an eye on, too, is the versatility of the Celtics defense and the ability to stay in front of a great point guard who never stops moving like Steph Curry. That's what they do. And, we see Derek White here in the highlights. What a great pickup he has been for them, and what a huge piece defensively also that he has been for them in the Heat series, and I think he'll continue to be because he's very smart, he's got great length, he's another one of those switchable pieces that they have. So to me, I don't know if on paper you'll say Marcus Smart versus Steph Curry. I just don't know how often we're going to see it because of how many times Steph Curry runs off screens and how many times the Celtics are willingly going to switch.
How do you see them playing Steph Curry, Monica?
Well, he's obviously a guy that gets 10 eyes on him, right? You're always keenly aware of where he is on the floor. But in that same breath, you also have to pay attention to what Draymond is doing because he sets the whole thing up, right? So I imagine them to look to bump Steph in terms of screens. If they're going to switch, they're going to switch out hard. If he's coming off of a curl, they're going to give it a solid contest. And so just look for some of that. Think back to the Brooklyn series, right? Like Grant, Horford, Marcus Smart, always kind of check in KD as he was moving through the paint. And so I think that's probably some of what we'll see versus Steph as well.
Yeah, you got to go back to that Nets series because it was just stunning, the way that they defended Brooklyn.
Yeah, it was great. That was the tone setter, that series. And
confidence builder as well.
And also, if you think what the Mavs tried to do, they didn't have a shot blocker, but they would also try to take him off the line. Steph wasn't taking a ton of threes in that series. In fact, he did a lot of damage driving to the basket. But if the Celtics want to send him to the paint, Robert Williams and Al Horford are willingly waiting for him, which is something the Mavericks didn't have. Much different look that Steph's going to see.
Hey, Monica, is this a tougher defensive matchup for them than Miami would have been?
Oh, absolutely. But to Alan's point about Robert Williams, I just want to hammer down. I believe, and we got to double check this, Robert Williams has blocked 13 threes, right? So in terms of his length and his timing, that is a formidable force on the defensive end. The Time Lord, living up to the name and playing through some pain. Now, to your question, Hannah, oh, yeah. Listen, the Warriors versus the Heat, this is completely different animals. Honestly, versus the Heat, so much of what they got going when they played good ball was off of the turnovers. Going into last night, the Celtics averaged 12 turnovers and wins and 19 turnovers and losses. The 19 turnovers was like, here you go, Heat. Literally light a fire. See what I did there? Right? But with the Warriors, on the other hand, there's so much movement. There are So many good shooters. We haven't even really talked about the emergence of Andrew Wiggins from last series and what that might look like in the finals. And he has some of the same size that you see with the Celtics. So yeah, this is a tall task defensively. But what does a good defensive team love? An opportunity to stop a good offense.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.